What's the motherfucking deal, Sauce Nation? I'd like to welcome you all to the Saturday Night Sauce. Hope y'all are all doing well. Hope y'all are all doing good. Hope everybody is having their best day. Let me get that right. But welcome to Sauce Sports. If you're not familiar with Sauce Sports is a Houston, Texas Homer network. So that means we're talking all sports, but only Houston. And with that being said, man, it's Saturday night. We got some roundtable action going down tonight. Man, who we got with us in the roundtable tonight?
Oh, man, you got your boy Third Coast Sports TV, Wink in the building.
It's the number one shit talker, Tinny.
Already. Now, we got a lot of stuff we're going to talk about tonight. I'm making words up and shit. We got a lot of stuff we're going to talk about tonight, man. We're going to get into a few things. But we got to talk about the most important topic first. And the most important topic is you, the freshest motherfucking ingredients in the world. So I'd like to thank everybody who showed up this evening. I know there's a lot of other places you could be, but the fact you fucking with the round tonight, I appreciate it. So we're going to talk what's going on in camp. We're going to talk about, some comments that have been made recently. But first, we're going to get into this Sauce Nation roll call. Now, if you don't know what the roll call is, man, it's all you got to do is, if you're from the city is Houston. Man, shout out your side with pride. Let us know where to send you some love. But if you're not from the city, man, we can still send you a little bit of that digital computer love. Just let us know where to send it. However you identify, however you represent, your zip code, area code, your gang set, block, hood, avenue, cul-de-sac, circle, all that other shit, all that good shit, man. However you get down with the get down, man, we gonna send it to you. So here's the deal. All right. Here is the deal. All right. You said it's a little low. Let me crank that up for y'all. If you're saying it's a little low, let me let y'all know. You say send some of that computer love to A-Leaf. Already. So let's see who we got in the mix, man. And then, like I said, we're gonna get right into it, man. Let's start from the very beginning. Some of y'all was in this motherfucker super early. And I appreciate that, man. I gotta, hey, even had some old hating Titans fans talking about Titans winning the division in here early, but we know that's shenanigans and tomfoolery. I gave you power, Jay Dizzle, Kenneth Cologne, Miss Voodoo C, Josh Cooper, J Pack, Lil Wooddale. You out here, you way out there with being a Titans fan. Mr. Asian Pikachu. Let's see, my favorite of all the Pikachus, what's the motherfucking deal? The ckin, what's going down? Texan boy, what's the motherfucking deal? Voodoo Child, Beast Mode Engaged, Guru, Frank Aldaco, what's the motherfucking deal? The real Texans fan, 445, you know what I'm saying? What's the motherfucking deal? Let me make sure I ain't missing nobody. HTX Savage, DW4 Texans, Tom Ball, I see you. Ashmel Badapura, I hope I'm saying that right, you know what I'm saying? What's the motherfucking deal? Eastside Herald, always good to see you. 335 Humble, okay. Greens Point in the house. A-Leaf in the house. Tom Ball in the house. 512 already. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Rhode Island. Oh, good grief. Already. Baytown Dirty Bay in the house. What's up, Rigo? Brandon R. What's the motherfucking deal? We got a 445 and a 335. Oh, I don't know which one is which. Goddamn. But like I say, man, I appreciate everybody coming through. I appreciate you all showing some love. But we're going to get in it to win it. And we're going to talk about plenty, man. We got a lot to talk about. We're just going to really talk about some of the interesting things that have taken place. And some of the more interesting thing has been some of the interviews that the Texans, or not necessarily interviews, but some of the comments that have been coming out of Texans camps from some former Texas legends, some future Texans legends. And like I say, man, we just going to get into it. I want to know y'all's thoughts. And then, we're going to get the round table in the mix. We're going to get their thoughts on it. And first, we're going to start off with the GOAT, man. The GOAT, the greatest of all Texans. One Andre motherfucking beat the F out you. We all know no more no more Finnegan. It's just Innigan. Beat the F out you Johnson, man. And, they kind of had an interview with him, and they asked him a bunch of stuff. We're going to kind of go over each one of those topics briefly, so we can kind of deep dive into them, and kind of break them down with a little bit more context. Joshua, what's the motherfucking deal? Good to see you. And so the first thing that Andre was saying, they asked him a litany of questions. They were all the reporters were hungry in it, like fucking piranhas, trying to get him a piece of meat and shit, trying to get his attention. We know the go.
I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah, going crazy over some Andre. It is what it is. But they kind of just asked him various things about the team and what's going on and what he thinks about it. And of course, him being the greatest of all Texans, his opinion does matter. And so the first thing that they talked about, they asked him about Braxton Miller and kind of what he thought about Braxton and what's going on. He's had a couple of years going on and what he felt about it. And the thing that he mentioned was something that I talk about often, not necessarily with just Braxton, but with all players, especially rookies getting into the second year and things like that. And that's about thinking. And his point was that he said he feels like Braxton is out there thinking way too much. He said you can tell when you're looking at him, with him being a converted quarterback that he's worried about it. What he said is that, he feels that Braxton should go out there and play, and if you make mistakes, worry about the mistakes later. Don't try to think about them first, and then because you look hesitant, you look like you're you're kind of giving certain keys away, things like that. Like I said, we'll start with Winky. We'll get to Tenny, man. How do you feel about that? And I mean, would you agree? Would you disagree? I mean, we know that Andre is the greatest receiver, so he's going to give the right flavor on that topic. But what would you have to say to expand on that? And how do you feel about Andre's comments on Braxton?
If Andre Johnson said it, I believe it, and he would know exactly what to look for. I mean, look at the position he's helped put a guy like DeAndre Hopkins in. He knows what he's doing. He knows he's been around this league long enough, and he's been an impactful player. So, any advice that he could give, a young player like Braxton Miller, is suitable for his game. So, just take heed to what he said. Work on whatever you need to work on, and just play free, man. It's no point in you stressing. He worrying about his job. He worrying about this. You can tell shit like that is getting into his mind when it doesn't need to. Just play football. Just have fun and just do what you can do, man. Some shit is just completely out of your control. Only work on and only worry about what you can and you can't control.
Okay. Tenny, man, what do you think about Andre's comments on Braxton, and how would you expand upon that?
I think it's 100% on point, because we were talking about this just a few days ago.
Yeah.
When we were asking each other, what do we think's going on with Braxton, and I think we all kind of came to the conclusion that we don't think it's something about his attitude. We don't think it's something about something off the field that's fucking with him. Is there something on the field? I don't think he's not a people person for Twitter and everyone to see. So I think he does have relationships with the players on the team. It's just when he gets out there on that field, it's his mind fucking with him. And for somebody like Andre Johnson, who has a wealth of knowledge about the game and the position, to come out and say, I just think he's getting inside his own head. That's 100% accurate. And from what it sounds like, it seems like he's kind of stepping outside of his head. He's starting to say, okay, I got this. This is what my body can do. This is my skill. Let me just go let my body react to the situation instead of thinking 3 moves ahead.
Okay. Yeah, look. Start with the checkers before you get to chess, man. Hey, let him get the simple shit down, and then get a little bit more complex. Like I say, because I don't doubt that Braxton has the skill set, has the talent, has the ability to be great. Because we've seen what he can do with the ball in his hands. We saw him starting to blossom a little bit towards the end of the year. But again, I think it has to be a mental thing, and I think the coaches probably have to see some of that too, because maybe that's why he was catching some of those healthy scratches. Because there's no reason, if you're healthy, to not be playing. I mean, unless you're on the practice squad or something like that. I mean, you should be in the game, especially when you've seen PT before. You shouldn't be regressing and going backwards. So I think that's kind of probably one of the things that we've been curious about as to why some of that's been happening. If Andre is saying it, something to look at. But then that kind of makes me question, before we get into some of the other things he was speaking on, it kind of makes me, I look at the comments that he had when he talks about Braxton, as opposed to some of the comments that he had about Kiki, and kind of where that puts them in his mind. Because when he talked about Kiki, he had basically nothing but good stuff to say. I mean, he said he was kind of excited to see what he could do. But like I said, because I feel like Andre Johnson's gonna keep it real. He ain't gonna bullshit for anybody. He gonna speak his mind. And when he talked about Kiki, I mean, he had nothing but pluses and benefits. Basically he's pretty much ready. He's got a few things to work on. But he seemed when he talked about Braxton, his demeanor and his facial expression was just kind of a little bit more questionable, like he just had those little concerns. And so so kind of and something like that. That's why I say I feel like outside of that, just looking at that Kiki may be in a better position than Braxton again. So I think with Kiki being out for a little while, this is Braxton's time to shine, but he needs to take every advantage of it. And it was a rumor, it was Bill O'Brien that made a comment about Braxton trying to make a one-handed catch and drop basically an easy touchdown. Everybody's not Hopkins. So how do you feel, like we were just kind of talking about, play the checkers first, then learn how to play chess. Do you feel like Braxton may be overexerting himself a little bit, trying to make that impression, trying to maybe make some flashy plays or something to show that he's worthwhile? Or do you think maybe it's still part of his nature that he's used to from college? He made great plays in college. He was a hell of a player, Or do you think like he just needs to just kind of, like I say, stick to the base? We'll start with Tenny and then we'll ask Wink. How do you feel about that?
I think it's one of those situations where it reverts back to what just happened with Richard Sherman and Kyle Shanahan speaking on that. I think it comes down to the fact that if you're gonna try something new, try it again. Try it in practice.
Yeah.
Don't go out on the field and try it and get caught with your pants down.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it was one of those situations where maybe Bill O'Brien maybe had this talk with him before and just probably put it out there real quick. Hey, stick to what you know, man. Let's get your body acclimated to what your position is, and get it up to par. Because you got to trust yourself. You got to trust your legs to move under you. You got to trust your mind just to know, however it's read out in the huddle, that you know that this is your lane, this is your route, completed and get to point. And as far as him with Kiki and Andre Johnson, I think what we all got to remember is Kiki's got like years of knowledge at this position above Braxton. Even though Braxton has more time in the league, Kiki's got more experience at the position, and he trusts his body at the position.
Right.
Okay. Your thoughts on that? When you feel that trust is a big factor? I mean, and kind of the Bill O'Brien comments on with the one-handed catching situation. How do you kind of feel about that?
Yeah, I honestly, I think he just needs to keep playing it safe. It's obvious. You know what I took out of everything you said. He was wide open. He was there to make plays. So that gives me, man, this motherfucker can get open. Because from how it's being explained, the touchdown was so easy. He was just trying to show off a little bit. He'll learn from that. And the fact that you got guys in camp and, you got these reports coming out because since we started talking about Braxton, now you started hearing about Braxton. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was worried about Braxton Miller. You bring him up kind of casually, as you bringing up the entire core of the group. But now questions are being asked about Braxton and where is his progress and how is he looking. It's obvious he's looking good, but he's shooting himself in the foot by not making the easy plays that we know that he can. So don't deter yourself. When something exciting happens, it's going to happen. You just catching the ball will be exciting enough.
Yeah.
That'll be exciting enough. Just catch the ball. We don't need nothing fancy. We don't need nothing. Of course, every now and then some fanciness is going to be able to be implemented in your game. But you don't have to go out and you don't have to prove that you can go out and be DeAndre Hopkins because you're trying to live up to a living legend on your football team. And that's just how I feel about it. How you feel about it, Honcho?
Man, my thing is that the people in the comment in the chat are actually saying something that I was going to bring up next. But like I say, the getting open, like you say, good point. But the sealing the deal, sticking to the basics, great point.
Absolutely.
But my thing is there a problem? Because do you put yourself in the bad side of a coach's mind when you doing these type of things? Because think about that little flip in the end zone where you almost lost the ball last year. And then you're trying to be fancy on another easy TD play, And Bill O'Brien had comments about the little flip last year. He had comments about this. So I'm wondering if that puts you kind of on that puts a little bit of negativity behind what you do in the coach's mind. And so I think that could be a little bit of a hindrance, when it comes to reliability. Hey, just seal the deal. Do all the celebrating after, do all the fancy shit after,
right?
Like you said, seal the deal, and the celebration will be much better than whatever fancy shit you're doing on the play. So, kind of going into the next point that Andre was talking about. And they asked him about Deshaun Watson. And he had nothing but rave reviews to say about him. They asked him, and he compared him to the guys like Big Ben, to Aaron Rodgers, to Russell Wilson, all top guys in the league, to top tier guys in the league with rings.
Right.
So, one, they asked him, also if he would have liked to play with him. He said, of course, there's a lot of guys that like to play, but definitely he'd have been one of those types, that I would have liked to play with. With those comments, do you see Andre seeing that this is a guy that could get the Texans to the promised land? Because, again, he mentioned all great quarterbacks who have rings, who have the hardware. Do you feel like Andre thinks that Deshaun Watson is going to be the guy to get the Texans their first hardware?
Absolutely, because he knows we've never had a talent like this. And just looking at his history and the type of quarterbacks that we've had in the past, you can tell this is the type of quarterback he knows we needed. Like, it's just like we never invested in this type of athleticism and clutches. We've never had a quarterback this proficient. The fact that this man goes out and, I was arguing with dudes on Twitter Live the other day, and people were trying to put and add all of the success and give Bill O'Brien all the success, he ain't on the one. He ain't the one on the field throwing touchdowns. He's been in there, and he was in there before Deshaun Watson. He was in there as soon as Deshaun Watson went down. People gonna be like, "Oh, it was injuries." Nah, nah. Fucking, he's horrible at evaluating certain talent. You know what I'm saying? He believed in Tom Savage enough. You know what I'm saying, to put him where he started the season. So he already has questionable decisions. I understand the reason for Savage starting the beginning of the season because Deshaun didn't look quite ready. So you can make a case for that. But outside of that, it's just like this is just the type of situations we've been in. So I'm luckily they rolled the dice on Deshaun Watson. He's lighting the league on fire. And like he's like everybody's favorite player now. In the media, they can't stop talking about him. And rightfully so. You know, hopefully he just continues to do what he's going to do. I have no quarrels about anything that he's going to bring to our future. And within 2 to 3 years, potentially this year, who knows what could happen? You know, we all have our heights of where we think that's a realistic view of what the Texans is, but nobody truly knows. I could say how I truly feel. I can predict this and predict that, but I don't know for a fact. I'm not Biff from fucking Back from the Future. If I had that sports book and I could be able to look in the future years and years before, you know what I'm saying? You know, and some of that they may have went over y'all head and went way over because you know that may not be y'all time frame. But it's just like if I would have had something like how Biff had, man, then we would be able to look at this shit for years to come. And that's, you know, we need that type of stuff. But how you feel about it, Tim?
Man, I like that sports almanac reference,
Yeah.
man. But I think Johnson, Dre, Coach Dre,
Yeah.
I think he feels like that. But I think like I've noticed like with some of the players, I think everybody's kind of tired of talking about championship window and all that shit. So everybody's just like skipping over those words in their vocabulary whenever they're in an interview. They don't want to mention it. They're done talking about it. They want to go out there and prove it. And I think the one thing about Deshaun Watson is that he's bringing everyone back to the fold. I mean, you talk about last year about how Johnson just like mentioned that he almost didn't come to his ceremony when they retired his number and they hung his number up in the rafters.
Right.
I don't want to speak out of place, but he's coming back. I mean, something's drawing him in. Something's drawing everybody back in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got guys coming in. You got Wes Welker showing up. You got Washington was there not too long ago. Mm-hmm. So I mean, everybody's coming back in. They want to see. I mean, like I play around and I talk about Deshaun Watson and preaching his word and all that stuff. But I mean, it's almost like a Messiah kind of thing. I mean, you got this kid who's just making noise, and everyone's got to come from all around to come see it. They want to see it for themselves. And I think when it's all said and done, I think it's going to be something like you talk about Watson, like A-Rod, Big Ben, Brady, Peyton. They're all not mentioned as alike quarterbacks. They're mentioned as quarterbacks of an elite level. And I think people see those inclinations, and it brings them in and makes them want to be around this team because it's almost undeniable once you see him play. He passes the eye test. He did it last year when he went out there on short notice and won a game. He went out there on short notice and faced down the number one defense in the league before it was the number one defense in the league. And you know, it's just one of those things. It infatuates your curiosity. And if you think that Dre doesn't believe that he's the guy that could do it, then I don't think you know football.
To expand on what you're saying, Tenny, before you get into it, Honcho, like just like a year or so ago, like when Deshaun Watson was getting ready to get picked, you know, if you look on YouTube, you'll see an interview he did with the Mad Hatter, you know, on the morning show or whatever. And, you know, it's about like a good 36 minutes or something like that. And, you know, they were talking about Deshaun Watson and, you know, just, you know, he was just giving his thoughts and shit like that. You know, he was talking about him, of course, on the air, you know, on the Aaron Foster podcast. Shout out to Aaron Foster. And it's just like, man, seeing these guys, and I really think DeAndre Hopkins. I really think if DeAndre Hopkins was just like Dre, man, we need you, man. I think if he really was just like, bro, we need you. Like, we need you to come in here. We like what Wes is doing. He's gonna be able to work with certain players, with guys on the outside. We need your guidance, man. You know how to get it done. You've been getting it done. You know, I think if he was to really just, because it already looks like they in talks like we finna bring him on, because before he wouldn't even entertain the idea of even coaching on the staff. You know, he living life. He taking the trips to Africa. He enjoying his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he just enjoying his time. He's still in great shape. You know what I'm saying? And things of that nature. And it's just like before he was like, yeah, I could do high school. He was like, but college and the NFL, nah. He was like, I still watch it. I watch football whenever it's on. Don't care who it is. And he supports and loves this team, because if he didn't love Houston, he wouldn't live here. This man made sure he brought his ass right back to Houston. He didn't sell no property. He didn't do anything. He still, even when he was in Tennessee and when he was in Indianapolis, he still was in Houston, you know, for Thanksgiving and you know, and doing his food drives and still giving the kids and all that stuff. That's love, man. This man loves us. We love him. And for him to be on this roster helping in some way, shape, or form, it's going to be beneficial to him and this team for years to come. And that's just how I feel about him, man. He's got great character. He's a great person, man. He was a great player, you know, and I love him.
Absolutely, man. I catch what you're saying.
My thing is that with that, but he already said today, that's going to actually lead into the next point. They asked him about, you know, being a coach and how he feels. He's like, hell no, too many hours. He ain't with me and putting in the hours.
Right.
He's like, man, I ain't going to do that. But like you said, they have been in talks. You did mention that Wednesday they had a conversation, and they were talking about some things, you know, maybe utilizing him in a community aspect and doing some other things. You know, he said, we'll see what happens and we'll see how it develops. And like I said, you notice we've actually been in practice the last couple of days. And so I'm thinking that there are definitely some talks going on. And I think it probably took a little bit for him to kind of get over the situation initially with B.O.B. You know, he probably had a little bit of vengeance on his mind initially, because we saw him go to the other teams in the division and do some stuff like that. But he's talked about it, man. There's been plenty of teams call me about coaching. There's been plenty of teams reach out to me to want me to be a part of their staff. But the fact that he's, like you said, he's came back to Houston. We see where he is. We see where he loves being. And he still knows he's made plenty of memories with the fans in this city, and so he's definitely gonna hold down. But he said coaching is out of the question on any level, because he's like, man, I value my time. I don't really want to, you know, dedicate all those hours. And we know when you a coach, you got to eat, live, sleep, breathe, and I'm sure he put in more than enough work as a player, as opposed to wanting to do all that all over again. But he talked about, like, say, so the next thing though, they asked him about, you know, him and Hopkins and their relationship. And now these comments that he made on this I found extremely interesting, because it shows the level and the dedication and the respect that Hopkins still has for Andre Johnson. Because he said, man, mainly what we do is when we do talk, we're always talking about football. It's all football. And so he basically said, you know, when he comes, he asked me, he was doing some release drills earlier, and he said the first thing he come up and asked me, was I doing this right? How was I looking with this? And, you know, so the fact that these are two things that I noticed about Hopkins. Hopkins has the confidence. He says he's the best, and then he's still humble enough to go out and ask, hey, Andre, you know, am I doing this good? He still has that level of respect. To me, that's just exceptional character. Like, there's nothing wrong with having confidence. People can say, oh, he's conceited, oh, you ain't the best. We'll argue that. We'll talk about that later because of some other comments that were made. But how do you – one, like I say, with Andre still being, like I say, that mentor to him, and then, he, like I say, what he said about Hopkins, how does that describe Hopkins in your opinion? We'll start with Tenny and then we'll jump back to Wink.
Man, that describes Hopkins as best as I can see it in my mind, and I painted in my picture, is that Hopkins is on the same dedication level that Jerry Rice was on. And you know his workout regimen. You know, Jerry Rice never just settled for doing good one year. He always followed it up, and he always kept his regimen the same. He always had his goals set for him. And for a guy like Hopkins to have all the fire, to tell another coach to his face, you know I'm the best. Don't even entertain a conversation where you're trying to appease me and make me happy. I know I'm the best, but I still got to go out here and prove it. And that's what he did in that game. He went out there and proved it on everybody on the Cardinals team.
Yep.
And you look at Hopkins and you see this fact that he's looking at a guy like Dre, and he comes up to him not as like I think somebody had wrote like, you know, he came up to him like the little brother, big brother thing. I don't think he came up to him as a little brother, big brother thing. He came up to him as a respected man of the game, right. Somebody he knows who's accomplished in this game. And like, hey man, did you see something I could straighten up? Because I can't see myself right now do this. Let me come up to you. What did you see that I was off on that I can improve? And respects his opinion and comes to it as an equal, but understanding that he still has to climb to his level.
Man, Wink, what do you think that says about Hopkins, his dedication, his character? You know, to hear something like that.
To expand on what Tenny's saying, it's the ultimate respect, man. Because just the year before he entered into his sophomore year, when we saw the torch get passed, you know, from Andre to DeAndre, you know, he got to see a spectacular show the season before when Andre Johnson was still catching 100 passes and 1,400 yards, even in a down season. You saw this man do this. He's like, man, how in the fuck is you doing this? You see this, man. You see this man is able to do it and get it done, regardless who back there, man. Dudes coming off the street. Dudes ain't got that much practice. You build and you able to get that type of chemistry. That's with you. It's his cunningness. It's his will. It's his will to just be good, man. And the fact that they get to work together, and he gets to ask some questions, and the fact that he's even in the situation, because you can tell DeAndre got to Andre Johnson early, as early as his rookie year, and was asking him about body questions and how to recoup and shit like that. This is why he hasn't suffered any serious injuries. The fact, he was pretty much held out of the game, but I can almost guarantee you he could have went in that very last game and performed at a high level. They just chose to not put him in harm's way because the season was lost. So when you have that, this man is just dedicated, man. The man runs 5 miles a day. He has fun. He lets his nuts hang on that field. You could depend on him in any situation. Triple coverage, double coverage, one-on-one, sideline, intermediate, short route. It don't matter, man. Give me the motherfucking rock. Watch what I do with it. And everybody been watching, and people ain't giving us respect. Michael Robinson, when he interviewed him a couple days ago, when it was him and Deshaun Watson, he was saying, man, why are you not respected, man? Because, man, other dudes out here, they got certain lineages, they got better, they've had better quarterback play. It's easy for them to look good because they got quarterbacks who not throwing them in the double coverage. They can get racked. People love to sit here and want to say, his yards after the catch are horrible. Well, shit, look at the type of passes and the type of quarterbacks and the situations they get. They throwing at the ground. They throwing behind them. They not leading them in the passes. When they do lead them, it's already somebody else closing in on him so that he can't even make any extra yardage. But when you throw him the ball right, he getting 75 yards. When he getting a clear vision, you're done. When DeAndre Hopkins gets past you, you're done. He is not getting caught. You know what I'm saying? So how do you feel about it, Honcho?
So first you're talking about letting his nuts hang. And apparently he also trying to let his nuts hang on Iggy Azalea. We saw the little situation with that. Yeah, so I see that. I'll talk about that in the chat. Shout out to Pritchard at Texas Palace, man. Man, Tenny, I got a picture for you. I'm gonna send it to you after the stream of the Lord and Savior. You will definitely enjoy this one. That was hilarious. Shout out for that one. That shit is fucking. And then shout out to I told y'all, man, if y'all want to be a part of the Soft Sports Madden League, send your gamer tag or whatever your PlayStation name is. Send a text to the Sauce line, or you can send it to softsports@gmail.com. Same deal if you want to be a part of the Fantasy Football League. All right. Okay. Okay. I saw I make a comment earlier. All right, all good. Like I say, man, we got love for everybody, man. As long as my fault, I had the thing muted. That was shouting out Shaolin Fantastic. So shout out to Shaolin Fantastic. Like I said, we got love for everybody, man. As long as y'all in here, you cordially, you keeping it copacetic, and we don't mind a little shit talk when it's time to talk shit. We expect you to represent your team, but as long as you ain't in here trolling, as long as you ain't like old buddy, we ain't even gonna say his name. Say his name 3 times, he probably pop up like candy, man. We ain't gonna deal with that bullshit. But we got love for all fans, man. Like I say, it's mainly sports talk. It's mainly H-Town, but hey, you represent your team, man. That's all respect. But shout out to everybody who sent their info, and shout out to Himalaya Player, who said they playing on Game Boy Color this season. So make sure you get that Madden 19 on Game Boy Color, if you like that. But my thing with that, man, like I say, talking about Hopkins, man, and Andre, the comments that he made on him, that breeds nothing but hope for me. Because you got a lot of these guys who, once they're at that top tier of receiver, once they're getting this notification, this recognition from around the league, they start to smell themselves, and they feel like, oh, I don't need this. I'm here. All I got to do is keep doing me. But the fact that Hopkins is hungry, the fact that he still feels disrespected as a top receiver in the league, that tells you that he feels that he can always do more. That lets you know he's going to continue to push. He's going to continue to do the things that he needs to do to be the greatest that he can be. And so my deal with that is it's nothing but good signs. It tells you that he's as exceptional character. I know I've seen people say, oh, they felt like he was one of those, like I say, smelling himself when he's talking about he feels like he's one of the best in the league. But he is. It's hands down. The numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. And so, it is what it is. But at the last of Andre's comments, and then we're going to move on to another topic, something that you kind of alluded to earlier. They asked Andre about the helmet rule and how he felt about it. We kind of discussed it briefly yesterday. And what he said was, he feels like it's going to slow the game down a lot. He says, maybe it'll start off a lot in preseason, but he feels like the refs hopefully will get a bit more acclimated to what is and what ain't. And I think that bang bang plays should basically be left alone because there's just nothing that you can do on certain plays like that. So he just wasn't a big fan of it. He said, he kind of mentioned briefly the Hall of Fame game because we all saw that, but he just felt like with the new rule being a point of emphasis that it's going to take the refs a little bit. They're going to have to work that out of their system as far as recognizing what is and what ain't. Like I said, we talked briefly about the helmet rule, but like I say, just kind of for anybody who may have missed it, let's kind of just speak on that a little bit. Wink, your thoughts on the helmet rule and how you feel, what Andre said about it, and then Tenny, we'll get to you too.
Expanding on it the other day when we talked about it and the other stream. It's unfortunate, man. You're putting players and coaches in precarious, positions. You're slowing the game down, and you're making this shit hard on referees. Why can a referee's job ever just be easy? They make this shit so hard, man. And this is what happens when you turn football into an offensive game. This is the type of shit that you have to endure when the game is nothing but about offenses. It's nothing but about quarterbacks. It's nothing about this. It's all about offensive stats. Defense sells tickets too. It's more than enough people that value defense, and it's a growing number of fans across the league, male and female, women, child and old. It doesn't matter. People play defense too. Why can't we have the defensive high rounds? You'll never. It's hard enough. It's hard enough to even get 10 interceptions in this league anymore. Like they used to be easy. 10 interceptions used to be easy years ago. When the last time you seen somebody with 10 interceptions? When the last time you seen somebody with a player with 9 forced fumbles in a season? When the last time you seen that type of shit? You know what I'm saying? It's just people have to be so elaborate, and this is why I can respect dudes like Romeo Cornell because he's with the sign of the times. He never gets behind. He's always on point. He adjusts and he makes adjustments and he makes sure that his defenses are prepared to play football with the rules that are in place. That's why Mike Vrabel, he couldn't do this for us. Romeo Cornell could. And it's just man, we need to get rid of all of this bullshit. Dean Blandino serves no purpose in the NFL. So why the fuck do we have to revert to you when it's instant replays and shit like that? make sure that the replays and shit like that, you using the camera angles more than enough. They should have sensors inside of the balls to be able to let you know, hey, stop guessing. Put sensors and shit like that in the ball. Okay, boom. If he let his hands go, and if he let his hands off of the ball or some shit like that, boom. It's certain ways to do everything with the type of technology that we have. So it's more than enough shit that they can implement in the season. But they need to just cut the boo-boo, man. I'm just tired of it.
Yeah, man, no, Andre's right. It's going to slow down the game, especially if they're not prepared to try to streamline the process in which the flag is thrown and how they evaluate it. Because like I said a few days ago, I mean, what we need to do is just have an extra official for every game to be able to react to it. That throws it up on replay right away. Oh, that's the call. You want to say leading with the helmet? Let me see what happened. Nah, his face mask was up. You just heard the face mask crack the pads or crack the helmet. So, I mean, by all means, we need to have something like that to streamline it if you want to keep a rule like that around. But at the end of the day, you're going to slow down the game for no reason at all. Because I'm telling you, it seems like the flags are being thrown on the loudest noise. If you make noise when you hit, you get in the flag. And that's what almost it feels like. Now, if they want to streamline it and take precautions to make sure that we can have the bang plays eliminated out of the ability to have a flag on it, that's good. But on the other plays that are questionable, have somebody there to back up these officials. Quit making it an eye test going that way. And these guys are running fucking 40-yard dashes at 4.4s and 4.5s and shit. How the hell is the human eye going to see what the hell another human being is intentionally trying to do? Exactly. I mean, come on.
And they expand, and I just saw, Charlotte and Tessa. Yeah, I know Bayer had 9. I said 10. I didn't say 9. I know you get my point, but double digits is what I'm talking about. When you haven't seen double digits in I don't know how long. Like this, the Rod Woodson days. Deion Sanders and shit like that. The guys like that at their prime. Ty Law. Years and years and years ago when defense was still valued. I understand you can still have offense because offense has always been here. People act like in the 80s and 90s that Joe Montana and these guys weren't putting up 45 fucking points a game. That they weren't scoring 56 points. Like, that's what kills me is that they love to sit here and act like offense is just now getting here when Tom Brady and Peyton Manning got to the league. When offense was here years ago, offense was definitely here in the 50s. It was definitely here in the 60s. It was definitely here in the 70s. The 80s and early 90s was probably the most defensive times, and maybe the late 70s, that you could say that football ever had. And this game has always been offensive. When the fuck is the defense ever going to get any shine? When are they going to get a break? You wonder why dudes is getting burned all the damn time and this and that, and you know what I'm saying? And it's fucking retarded. Like when you need a play for when you need your defense to make a play, guess what? They can't because it's catered to the offense, and I'm sick of it.
Well, didn't they change the PI rule this year, where it's no longer gonna put the ball at the place of the foul, but give it like a 15-yard penalty?
Yeah, I think they did say something like that. They were trying to adjust it. I don't know if they went through or not. I don't know how that.
Well, they're trying to keep it. They're trying to keep it from where like somebody throws a fucking bomb, and the foul occurs at the 20-yard line, so that the ball was moved up to the 20-yard line. Instead, the ball moved from its place like 10 or 15 yards.
That's fucking stupid. Like the foul occurs where it's at. It's always been that way, and it's nothing against you saying. I'm not saying you said that, but you see, it's stupid shit. Like
no, it's something as they're trying to justify what's going on against the defense to help them out too, so that way their penalties aren't costing a game like stupid crazy. Because I always thought the PI rule was a little ridiculous, being fucking moving 40 yards on a bomb because you're trying not to let somebody fucking score on you. I think a 15-yard penalty, I'd take that every fucking game.
Okay.
I'm kind of mixed on that because it's been here for so long that I don't even think about it.
I get you.
I don't even think about it. Like that's not even something I think about. Like the PI is PI. Wherever it happens, is where it is, because that situation could very well happen to us, and we know that DeAndre Hopkins is very capable of causing PI. So I look at that being in favor of a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, who I knows that can create that turnover if we get in a tight spot, because I know he knows how to sell it if need be.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next point. I want to get into the conversation, like I say, something you alluded to earlier, the NFL Network interview that Watson and Hopkins had, and a couple of questions that were asked, some of the answers that were given, and just kind of talking about some of the reaction that I've seen around the league. I've seen, well, not necessarily the league, but some of the reaction I've seen from fans, even here in the city of Houston, and I find it a little bit confusing, a little bit outrageous. So Hopkins was asked, why aren't you getting the respect? And, his comment was, hey, All Pro says a lot. The people who actually watch football, obviously they recognize it. But there are a lot of politics, which is true. I mean, there's a shit ton of politics within the game. And then there are a lot of unknowledgeable fans who just, of course, people who pay attention to their team. They don't really care about what's going on elsewhere. And I can understand that. But then there's a lot of people who just don't want to give credit where credit is due. You got a lot of people who only watch teams with, exceptional quarterbacks. We've seen it here in Houston that whenever Watson went down, everybody abandoned the team. All the hardcore fans, they just stopped watching. They didn't care anymore. And that's why I say, that's why we can tell the league is leaning in the direction of going with more offense, because that's what puts eyes on the tube. As much as we love defense, I think you got to be a more intelligent fan to appreciate defense. But again, I think that is what it is. But the comment that was made, saying that he was one of the best and that he doesn't think that any of these other quote unquote top receivers would be able to do what he did with the quarterbacks that he did, putting up consistent numbers. But again, with lackluster QB play. And then we saw what happened immediately once he got a top-notch QB who he didn't even have time in the preseason to really connect with that much, because Watson was working with the 2s and 3s, and then, Hopkins was working with Savage. So my thing is, how do you feel about that? And then, what is your response to that? Do you feel like it's true? And then, we'll discuss a little bit more of the conversation in just a second. We'll start with Tenny, and then we'll get to Wink on that one.
Man, dude, it's annoying because, the fact of the matter is that the fringe fans create the most noise, and it's absolutely fucking annoying, and especially in situations like this, when a dude like Watson goes down. You're right, people tune out. It's kind of annoying. Why tune out? You can watch the team still and still support the team in your own little way. It's just fucking ridiculous, because when it comes down to the fact of the matter is we're already a small enough fan base as it is. Absolutely. We haven't been around for decades. We're still fresh on the scene, and this shit lends, like you said, Honcho, to the fact that the NFL wants to streamline offensive priority over defensive priority. Absolutely. Now, I'm not saying that you're the catalyst, but you as a fringe fan, if my words are affecting you and hurting your heart, then you're a fringe fan.
Right. So,
fucking invest yourself in this shit. If you don't want to be 100% fan, don't speak on shit. Don't be acting like your word matters. I don't give a fuck that this is America and you got free speech. Bitch, I ain't got time to hear you. So, at the end of the day, don't speak on shit you don't know. Don't fucking sit here and try to act like your opinion matters when there's 60, 70,000 Texans fans that are true fans that are really represent this fan base and really show up for this team. So, I find the whole fucking situation annoying.
Man, to expand on what you're saying, Tenny, you are so right. We got so many fans. I had fans that was like, Ashmel Trejo, if he's in here. He was trying to come at me on Twitter Live earlier. It was redundant, the shit that this man was saying. It was absolutely redundant. It made absolutely no sense. And the situation was, and just to expand on what Honcho was saying, and then I'm going to get back into that point. It's what Honcho had to say when he was talking about this. It's so scary of what this man was able to do with no time with Hopkins, Fuller, and the offseason last year. Do you know how petrifying that is? Like, it's so scary. We didn't even see the height. And people act like we saw the heights of Watson last year. We saw a snippet. That was a trailer. That was a movie trailer what he gave us the last year. We don't know what Deshaun Watson fully is yet. And that's the scariest part about his game. And what kills me is the fans who go, they're going to have tape on him. Nigga, they got tape on every other player in the NFL, you idiot. He's not special because they got tape on him and he's going into his sophomore year. That means absolutely nothing. So at the end of the day, it's cool when Carson Wentz is okay as a rookie and then he progresses and is throwing 33 touchdowns to like 8 interceptions. But it's so different when it comes to Deshaun Watson. It's double standards out here, and we know where they rely. It's always a double standard out here when it comes to specific quarterbacks. We ain't gonna name no names, but we know what it is because these so-called traditional quarterbacks will be out of the league, and just about all of them are got one foot out of the door anyway.
Them snow bunnies.
So at the end of the day, we can sit here and act like, it's just a matter of this is the way that this game is going to go. You're going to end up having players like Deshaun Watson and guys like that. They're already comparing players to Deshaun Watson. He's going to be the next Deshaun Watson. This man has only played 6.5 games. And he's already getting comparisons. That's retarded to me. But I want to get back into the point that I was getting ready to make about the fan base and the shit that they see because they really don't know what they're looking at. We were talking about Jay Prosh. Well, I was talking about Jay Prosh. I brought Jay Prosh up in this Twitter live feed that they did earlier when Bill O'Brien was at the podium. And I was talking about how Jay Prosh doesn't serve any point to be on this team. He doesn't make enough plays that are noticeable on special teams. And we don't run counters. We don't run block. We don't run sweeps. We don't run these type of plays where a bruising fullback could get out in space, chop, or take middle linebackers and safeties out of the game. So he couldn't even give me any justification other than the fact that, you don't know what Bill O'Brien's gonna run. How do you know? Bitch, I watch football. That's how I know. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, we're running dives. We're running shit out of single back coverage. We're running out of shotgun. More often than not, fucking this man is Lamar Miller and any of these other guys that we have at running back right now are running out of the shotgun. Or they're in single back. It's more often than not. We don't run enough power. We don't run enough strong. We don't run out of the pistol a lot. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these formations, you don't even know how. These guys don't even know how to, spot a formation. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying? That's it. Dudes always they try to challenge you, and this is what happens when you tell people and you give them medicine for things that they don't know about. They always have to combat everything you're saying, but they can't introduce it with facts and with real logic. So what's the point of you being a fan?
It was another thing that I noticed that Hoppett said during that interview, and we're talking about fans in Houston. I saw fans get upset about the fact that he said, Houston is a football city, but we don't have that tradition like Pittsburgh. And we're talking about unreasonable fans, but what he said was facts. But I saw people, I was actually amazed that anybody even took that, as a slight or whatever. But I saw people getting upset, feeling like he's slighting Houston when he said that he wants to be a Texan for life, when he said all these other positive things about Houston. Just that we do not have the culture of a team like a Pittsburgh. We do not have a team like with the culture of New England. The shit, and even hate to say it, fucking like the Cowboys, even though it's historical, but they have a lot of people who roll with them. The thing is, we got a lot of people who still try to ride with the Oilers, and the Oilers didn't have the most exceptional history. There was no bowls included in that. So when people get upset, oh, you know, hey, I love you, Blue. That's all good, but there's nothing. I mean, look, we could talk about some of the big ass meltdowns the Oilers had. That's more historic, known nationally than, you know, any of the successes that they had. And so, and the Oilers are no longer, that's not Houston anymore. And I try to tell people this all the time. That's all Tennessee. They took the records, they took the colors, they took the team, they took everything. That's Tennessee shit now. That's why I don't really refer to the Oilers a lot. That's why John McClain annoys the fuck out of me, because he's always talking about the fucking Oilers. Hey, man, that's Tennessee history now. That's no longer ours, okay? In the record books, that's Tennessee shit. That's not Houston shit anymore.
You look that shit up. All those records, all those records, all that shit. Like when you look at Warren Moon and you see all these guys, it says Tennessee. Their whole everything we did, they get credit for all that history because they bought us out.
Matter too is Tennessee tore down everything that the Oilers were. They got rid of the name. They got rid of the connection to Houston. They don't embrace any of their history. They barely even wear the throwbacks.
Yeah, they even switched the colors. They haven't worn the throwbacks in years. I haven't seen them wear throwbacks, honestly, since about like 2007, 2008. It was a long, long time ago.
Absolutely. But like I say, the fact that people are getting upset about that's just, again, you know, hey, this is a Houston Homer network, but hey, we're realists. And it's just certain shit you got to let go of. You know, you can't always cling on to the past. You gotta take a step forward on certain things and be happy with the team you got now and want us to build that success. And then eventually, if we keep guys like Watson, we keep guys like Hopkins, and we continue to build the talent on this team, eventually we can build our own legacy, you know, and that is separate from whatever the Oilers were. You know, you can blame Bud for that. You know, that's on him. That ain't got nothing to do with it. Well, he's a dead man, but it is what it is. And so another thing that they were talking about, you know, Deshaun Watson was talking about the changes that he felt from this year to last year. And it was something that I told people a lot in this. And again, with that, like we mentioned earlier about Braxton Miller having to think about stuff and how that affects you on the field. Stuff we've talked about with Clowney, with moving him to outside linebacker instead of letting him keep his hand on the ground, having to think on a football field hinders your play. It hinders your ability to make plays. You know, it hinders your ability to diagnose certain things with speed. So what he talked about basically was, hey, man, I was still trying to get a grasp for the playbook. I didn't really understand how to read defenses. I was out there winging a lot of shit. And so now I'm coming into this year with an understanding. I know what the system is. I have a grasp of the playbook. There's no concerns with that. I can diagnose defenses now. I'm not trying to get acclimated to the NFL way of life. You know, it's a different level of comfort. We heard him mention early, you know, in the season, in the preseason and off season, that I'm light years ahead of where I was. How much more dangerous is a Deshaun Watson? We already know what the skill set, we already know what the talent level is, and that's still going to develop in the league. But how much more dangerous to the league is a Deshaun Watson with understanding? That's why I agree with you about that tape. The tape doesn't matter. 6 games, we saw different things from him in each one of those games. As he progressed, he was only getting better. So people can say, oh, they got film on him. You got 6 games of a dude who was just out there playing football the way he knows how, and now he knows an extension on that. He has more adept knowledge of the NFL game. How much more dangerous is he? And we'll start with Wink, and then we'll get to Tenny on that one.
Not only is he super dangerous, he's unpredictable to defenses because you're going to be unable to game plan for him for quite some time. But another thing that kills me, Honcho, is when people say, like, they make it seem like, oh, he just runs so much. He was running like 2 or 3 times a game. Maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys are really acting like this man was Cam Newton, like he was getting out of the pocket, like he getting 60, 70 yards a game, like he's putting himself in harm's way. Oh, we just forgot the fact when he does get out of the pocket, he knows how to slide. Oh, we just gonna forget that when he throws on the run, he's extremely accurate. Oh, we're gonna forget the fact that when he's in the pocket, he's more accurate when he's outside of the pocket. You see, people pick and choose when they talk about Deshaun Watson, about his game, that they love to omit skill sets. They love to omit the fact that when he plays you one time, and if he loses, he comes back even stronger than he did the first time. You know, people act like this man is not a clutch quarterback when he has the top 3 traits of any great quarterback in the league. Do you want to know what those traits are if you don't know? Accuracy, footwork, clutchness. That's all you need to be an outstanding quarterback in the league. You have those 3 options, Super Bowls will come when the team is ready. When the team is ready. Not when Deshaun Watson is ready. When the team is ready. They will win a championship, and I believe they'll win one handily. Because when it's go time, it's go time with Deshaun Watson. I'm so excited. I can't wait to watch him. And at the end of the day, he's going to prove a lot of dudes wrong. You don't believe me? Go look at his refined mechanics, which I've been talking about for months now. I've been talking about his mechanics and how much tighter he is for over 5 months now. People are just now starting to see what I was talking about because I didn't even want to expand on it then because I knew when it came time for training camp and when we got the right clips and when we saw him in practice, I already knew all the shit that we're watching right now was going to happen. You know why? Because he worked on his skill set. He worked on his footwork. He worked on his mental part of his game. He's physically capable, and he has the requisite weapons, and he has the time put in with his weapons. So I'm not worried about Deshaun Watson. I'm gonna let the NFL. I'm gonna let everybody else other than the Houston Texans worry about Deshaun Watson because you'll find out soon enough.
All right, Tenny, man, what are your thoughts on a more knowledgeable Watson? In addition to the skill set that he already possesses, having time, like Wink mentioned, with the actual weapons that he didn't get a chance to play with last year, but still made him look great. You know, understanding what they do, understanding their tendencies, and understanding, you know, what they bring to the table. You know, how much more dangerous is that Deshaun Watson?
I think you really gotta think about it, man. He's becoming of a more mature mindset. So you think about it, man. He was capable of moving the ball down the field fast, and he was scoring fast last year. And this year, if he's getting more knowledgeable and he's becoming more mature on the field, all these bitches out here complaining about that they got game film on Watson. Well, he's got that same game film. He's looking at himself. He's sitting down with O'Brien because O'Brien's in that film room with him and Sean Ryan, and they're like, "Look, man, this is a tell. You're showing yourself when you pull back on this one. We need to work on that. We need you to be sharper in your three steps, 5-step drop back, and how you deliver the ball. He's already been good at looking people off. He's just got to be able to continue that and build off of that. Also, looking people off, being more sharp, and that pocket presence. I mean, that's something you just can't teach. He has great pocket presence, and he can feel people coming in on him. So that's what moves him. And the fact that he got what was it, 17 touchdowns out of pocket last year, and people want to talk about how much he runs. Bitch, get off his nuts, please. Like seriously, this is the step that you would see amongst the great quarterbacks. The great quarterbacks mature. They become more knowledgeable of the game. They're studying the defenses that they have to go up against. They got to understand their tails just as well as the defense is going to be looking for them and looking at their tails and trying to get them off the center. And every defense does it. Every defense has their ability to sit there and say, okay, we're going to make them play outside of their game. We want them to play off kill because it makes it more available to us to beat this player. And the fact of the matter is if Deshaun Watson is getting mature and becoming more aware of himself and becoming more knowledgeable, I guarantee we can have the ability to score high like we did last year. And also we will kill them slowly and softly. He's going to move that ball more intently down the field. He's going to eat up more clock. When he calls a no huddle, he's going to fucking let that clock run down. He's going to get the minutes off of there. So we're not in situations where guys like Brady can come back in like a minute and a half. Brady's going to have 30 seconds to try to get down that field. If Brady was on a 30-second time clock last year, they don't win that fucking game. That pass breakup that I forget who was it that got up in the way, that would have been the end of the game right there. They wouldn't have been able to do nothing on us. So you got to think about it. We moved fast last year, but a more knowledgeable Deshaun Watson will help us move slower, game management, game clock management. And that's going to be a world of difference for this offense.
Yeah, you're not lying. Time of possession is a very critical thing, and that's we were scoring rapidly, scoring quickly, and giving the opposing offenses a chance to get back and do the same, especially with that porous defense that we had last year. Even when we were healthy, we know who was in charge of that and why it was looking the way it was. We're going to actually speak on a point about that. The sauce line is open, so if you guys want to call in, you got a point that you want to make, you want to spill some sauce on the sauce line, it will be open. We're going to continue talking about some of the points that was made. Deshaun, we talked about, improvements. He spoke on, watching his foot placement on passes. He talked about his elbow drop. So he talked about quite a few things that, like I say, that you don't really hear a lot of second-year guys. You speak on small improvements, but, he came out so electric, and, you're kind of, well, what does he need to improve on? The fact that he's always looking for something. He talked about he went back and watched all of his interceptions. He understands why they happen, when they happen, and we talked about when he did those things actually in real time in the games, that he never made the same mistakes twice. And so now that he actually had an offseason to go back, look at it, understand what was going on, and correct those issues, I think that's going to be bad for the rest of the league. Going to be great for the Houston Texans. Now here's another thing that I wanted to discuss. We talk about injuries, talk about things like that. Briefly, it's something that we kind of spoke on, so it's not really too much to get into it. But is it a concern? The Texans are still kind of trying to hold on. We got a call coming in on the sauce line. We'll answer the call, and then we'll get into it. Hold on one second here. All right, what's the motherfucking deal? Who we got calling on the sauce line? Hold on one second. Actually, I got to get the right headwear in. All right, sorry about that. Okay, who we got calling in on the sauce line this evening? Hold on one second. This might be on. Oh, give me 1 second. Hold on, I got you a little misconstrued here. That's my fault. I'll be honest, I didn't get the sauce line prepared before the thing, so give me 1 second here. All right, now I'm sorry. Who's that? Who we got calling in on the sauce line this evening?
Read that book 1, 2, 3.
Ready? What's the motherfucker deal? What you on the sauce this evening?
I'm a little disappointed in the NFL right now. What's the Hall of Fame game? You will know that the NFL made this new rule, and to be honest, it's a fucking stupid rule. All right, they made it, and I posted it on Instagram. So they made this rule where you can't you can't use the helmet to tackle or something like that. You get what I mean? What are your thoughts on that?
All right. That's a bit. We're going to hang up and get on that. Appreciate you calling in 1, 2, 3 already. We spoke on that a little bit briefly earlier when we were discussing, how Andre felt about it. And we kind of recapped on that, like I said, it's going to be a deal that's going to kind of slow down the game. The refs are going to need to adjust. And Tinian made a good point the other day, with some of the veteran refs leaving the game that have retired, you're going to have a couple of young new faces in. One, I think that environment, maybe they may be college guys coming up to the NFL. That environment is going to be completely different. And fans are already kind of hostile towards the refs. And I'm hoping that some of these guys are not affected by bias and things of that nature. But with one being an amateur ref without any new rules is already difficult enough. But, coming in and trying to implement new rules, things that you've never had to call before. I'm afraid that early on there will be a lot of very controversial calls. I think there'll be a lot of issues early on with the helmet, whatever kind of target you want to call it. Like I say, because we saw that play in the Hall of Fame game. It looked like a normal fucking play that you've seen every year prior to this one. And for that whistle to get blown, and again, that to be an advantage for Baltimore. I mean, things like that are definitely going to cause a lot of chaos early on in the season. But I figure it'll take a couple of weeks, maybe get through the preseason, get hopefully by, week 5 or 6 that they get a lot of that shit ironed out and kind of have a better understanding as to, what really is and what really isn't helmet target. We got another call coming in here on the sauce line. We're going to take this call. Who we got calling in on the sauce line this evening?
All right, man. It's your boy Josh again, man.
Already, what's the deal, Josh?
All right, man. I know, like, with week Watson, that's what makes.
Hold on one second. I'm catching a little.
Now, I mean, y'all say that he's not a QB that runs a lot, right?
Yeah.
And that he's a QB that does it from the pocket a lot, which I can see. But it's the efficiency in his runs that makes him more unique as well. Because if you look at the Seattle game, they actually had a stat that was like he has the most rush yards by QB still. And the fact that he doesn't even run a lot really shows how impressive his game is as well. Because I've been watching him from Clemson and ever since even his high school tape, and you can see the progression just year after year. And I just want y'all thoughts about that, just how efficient his runs are.
Already, man. Shout out, Josh. I appreciate you calling in, man. Very, very good point, man. The efficiency in which he run. My bad. I think it's for the sakes about I hit the phone, but appreciate you calling in, Josh. The efficiency in his runs, and I'll let y'all get on this. I didn't have a chance to get on the last comment. I'll let y'all put y'all's points on this comment, and then I'll spill my sauce on that.
Honestly, that was what Joshua said is absolutely true. And it's not even just from that game. It's also, from the Tennessee game, from the Cincinnati games, from, hell, even the Jaguars game. The dynamics of what this man does is so much. Like, we're not even talking about triple options if they start implementing that. We're not even talking about – we actually saw them run speed options last year. When have we ever seen a speed option in a Houston Texans uniform? Like, the man, they're preparing for this man so clean. He keeps himself so clean that he takes no punishment in the game. I can't wait to see when his whole game is complete and is put together, and he's showing everybody on a year by year basis that he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league.
I think you're absolutely right, because he's very effective when he's in his running. Because the fact of the matter is, the ground is never not an option for him.
Right.
Going down to protect himself and the ball and the placement of the ball and not lose yardage is always an option for him. If he's in a situation where he can't get out of it, he accepts it, he protects his body and goes down with it. And that's even when he's getting sacked. I mean, you got to look at the fact he's not trying to cause a penalty for the team. He's not trying to be a detriment to the team. He also knows that to keep himself healthy, he has to go down. So in a lot of these runs that he had last year, it was absolutely to run to open field, not to run to challenge somebody or to try to make somebody miss. It was the fact that he had open field, and all he tried to do is get to that open field. And if the next opportunity was available, he took it, or he gained a few more yards and put it down.
To expand on even what you just said, Teddy, nobody even talks about, like, nobody really talks about the fact that, like, this man, I kind of just lost my little train of thought. It was something that you were just saying that really just made me think about this particular point. And he adds like the fact that he can just elude defenses, and the fact of this is what it was. People don't talk about how elusive he is in the run game. Nobody really talks about how he eludes tackles and his toughness to stay up. The Patriots game, the Seahawks game, dead to rights. Nah, wiggle up out of this shit. We keeping our eyes down the field. Throw a touchdown to Lamar Miller. Nah, get the fuck up off of me. Boom. Throw the ball to Deontay Foreman for 30 yards on the sideline of the Patriots game. Like, it's just so many instances, man. He ain't giving up. He gonna make sure that he's gonna throw the play. If he gets out of the pocket in a situation like that, and everybody's closing in on him, and he has everybody that all the options down the field that he wants, the man is just a phenomenal talent, man. And nobody really wants to talk about this shit. But this is why y'all come to South Sports, because y'all get to hear the true points of this everybody's game on this football team. We get to be realistic in our analysis, and we tell you the shit that you need to know, not what you want to hear. This is why a lot of y'all in the comment section will get crunk by what we're talking about, because at the end of the day, you never heard nobody talk about this like this. When it comes to Deshaun Watson, nobody is talking about Deshaun Watson the way that we're talking about Deshaun Watson. Everything they say about him is vague. Everybody else is already saying, and they don't talk about what he possesses within his game and even when you talk about his faults, just like we said, he's never made the same mistake twice. Ever. He's never made the same mistake twice. He went up against phenomenal talent last year. He in some instances, that talent made him pay, and he came back. He regrouped and threw touchdowns later on, won the game, or had us in the point to where we were in the game where we could be respected for years to come.
Absolutely. Now, I was speaking on Foreman and Foreman's injury, and the Texans are kind of in the state of they're not sure how long it's going to take for him to get back, and I think that's something we've all discussed. A lot of us have said, we figure it's going to be a little ways into the NFL season before we expect to see David Foreman getting a chance to get a shot. I know you're a Texas City guy, Tini. I know you want to see him as soon as you possibly can. And I know we saw a lot of good flashes from him. I know we saw a lot of good things from him, and we were definitely hoping that we can continue to see those things. But with that situation kind of being on hold, I've heard a lot of good things about the little running back Swanson, Coleman. Seem like smaller, scat type guys. And we already know Blue. We're all familiar with Blue. What do you feel like that running back situation is ultimately going to look like starting off week 1? We'll start with Tenny and then we'll go to Wink on that.
Starting off week 1, man, Lamar Miller, Alfred Blue. If I know it's off chance, but if we keep only 5 wide receivers, we'll probably keep Tyler Ervin. And we're probably going to be looking at him being released once D'Onta Foreman comes back, or once he's reactivated off that list. Because the fact of the matter is D'Onta Foreman, he gave us a lot of pizzazz last year, man. He was able to catch the ball. He was able to run the ball. And when we saw last year when he fumbled the ball, I love it when he fumbles the ball, man. Because when he fumbles, he has his best games, dude. Like, he comes back and he is not scared of motherfuckers, and he wants to prove, you're going to hit me, I'm going to hit you. And he does it, man. He did it at Texas. He did it last year. I think it was the Cardinals game. He fucking busted that big-ass run off that he got hurt. And I mean, D'Onta Foreman is truly almost a dying breed, man. He's a hard-hitting running back, man. Mm-hmm. And one of the best parts about him is he got soft hands.
Yeah. And he has a lot of power, man. His power is totally underrated. It's a play that he has in a short yardage situation where Deshaun dumped the ball off to him, and he turned around, lowered his shoulder, and cracked the fuck out of the safety. Cracked him. Got the first down, got up, and was talking mad shit. You know what I'm saying? Get the fuck up off of me, punk. You know what it is. I'm a Foreman, ho. You know what I'm saying, nigga? We carry this name out here in Texas. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we need, man. I love what D'Onta Foreman, and he's the type of running back that gets stronger when the game, as the game goes on, he gets stronger and stronger and stronger. He just keeps building that momentum. I honestly feel if Bill O'Brien wants to keep Deshaun Watson upright, and when you feel that you're in a pinch, all you got to do, you have enough running backs to elaborate on what Tenny was saying. If you don't keep a guy like Tyler Ervin, you need to play split backs. We don't play, when we play gun, we don't play a lot of split backs. Play some split back. Have a power back on one side, a receiving option on the other side, or you can have 2 receiving options on the other side. You can have play actions where both dudes are crossing in the backfield. They're coming out to the flat route dump off. Let these dudes do something in space. Run angle routes, run zig routes, run some crossers, implement, some short curl routes, stick routes, and let these boys take it to the house. You know what I'm saying? It's that easy. If the offensive line is as bad as we claim that it is, implement your running backs into the game, and where you're dumping the ball off, you have shorter passes, and you'll negate all of this bad O-line play until you figure out who can help you consistently with the tight ends. Figure out what you're going to do with Jay Price, even though I don't think we're going to take him, because you can't justify his spot, because we're going to end up having better talent on the team. And why sign somebody to the practice squad when they could be taken by somebody else who needs to fill a roster spot on that team? That's the bad part about fucking the practice squad. dudes can be signed off of that team and go get a starting role somewhere else. You're not just stashed away. So I love Deontay Foreman. I want him to get back, but anybody trying to rush him, I seen dudes on Twitter Live earlier talking about they want him to play week 1 for what? He doesn't need to play until about week 6, week 8. Hell, even like Tini suggested a few days ago. Hell, week 10. You know, after the bye week, it would only make sense. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to make sure that this man, he trusts his leg, he's in shape, and that he's truly ready to play.
We got a couple of texts coming in on the Sauce line. We're going to answer a couple of questions, then we're probably going to wrap it up here shortly. Excuse me, hold on. That's the wrong thing. That's the wrong message. I don't want to read those messages. Let's see what's shaking. Okay. One says, will Deshaun be a Pro Bowler next year? We throw that up for either one of y'all to jump on.
Pro Bowler. I mean, by next year, if we talking next year, like not this season, and we talking next year, I honestly believe he'll be a Super Bowl champion next year.
Hey, you know what? To touch back on what we talk about with DeAndre Hopkins and some of his comments and how the fringe got upset about him saying that Houston just doesn't have the kind of rich traditions that places like Pittsburgh has and shit like that.
Right.
To those fringe ass fans, you motherfuckers are the reason why our players aren't getting into Pro Bowls.
Exactly.
And I'm not directing this at the person that wrote the message in, but the way they get into the Pro Bowl is by being voted in by the fan base. You want to see our players get voted in by the fan base? You got to be the ones to do it.
Absolutely.
And the fact of the matter is, guys like me, Wink, and Honcho, and everybody on the round table, I know we place our votes in. We
goddamn right.
We go in there and we place the 2 to 3 votes that'll allow us to do it here and there. And we.
Coming in on the Sauce line. We're going to take this call real quick. This will be our last call of the evening. What's the motherfucking deal? Who we got calling? What's the motherfucking deal? Who we got calling in on the Sauce line this evening?
Brother Shaolin, fantastic. What's going on, guys?
What's going down?
What's going on?
Yeah. Good brother Kenny know who I am. I'm an avid Tennessee Titans fan, but I had one question for you and the panel, and by the way, what's up, everybody? It was a good show.
Appreciate that.
I had one question. It's about Brady. I thought I was going to get into Brady. My thoughts on Brady is this, and I'm pretty sure y'all got more information on this cat. When they hired him, I thought it was a weird hire. It was at best a weird hire, you know. And what I did, the only thing I liked was the people he hired around him, Matt LaFleur and Dean Pease. But other than that, it seems to me that his only expertise is at the linebacker. When I'm watching the training camp videos and things like that, I'm watching it. I mean, he talks, he says the right things and stuff like that. Of course, he's clean cut. And I see what direction they're trying to go in. Young quarterback that can relate to the players. I get it, but I got the same concern that you got, and about that defense. I had that same fucking question, man. And I just want to know what your thoughts is on it. I know I'm gonna get a mouthful about this, but hey, I just want to know.
Okay, man. That's a bet, man. I appreciate you calling in. Like I said, it's all love. We definitely gonna get on that, man. Shout out to Shaolin, fantastic, man. I know new to the screen, man. I appreciate that and holding it down, man. So we hang up on you. We're gonna definitely jump into that. I appreciate the call. All right, so
stepped up last year when I did a video for that week 4 competition that we had against the Titans, and he stepped up and defended his Titans on video too. So he's even got his own little channel, so y'all go check him out.
And I will say this, Tenny, to even expand on that, not to cut you off. Even later on in the season, when they won that game, he wasn't even happy about that win.
No.
He wasn't even happy about it. He was like, man, it wasn't against no full-strength team. They got too many injuries, and the game was still close. I watched that video. Shout out, hey, he's a real fan. Because most fans would have been like, they dominated this game. Oh, they didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. And shout out to Shaolin Fantastic once again for that. But get back into your point, Tim.
But yeah, man, absolutely everything that Wink said, man. Shaolin is a real fan of the game. And Shaolin, I do want to point out, man, the thing that I don't even know if I've said it here yet. The thing about Vrabel is he is a Patriots way kind of guy. And I think you can go back and look at the film of our guys. And later in the season, man, he just didn't make adjustments the way he needed to for that defensive side of the ball. When you come down to it, you know, if you ever look at it, like really watch a Patriots game, the defense has one role, and that's to support the offense, to play a consistent game, always play the same calls. Don't get out of position. Don't make adjustments throughout the game. Just keep playing your spot, play what we call, and get it done. And that's the thing about the Texans team is that we're not really built for that kind of ball. We had a lot of injuries on our defensive side of the ball. And when people were keying in, I think even the Titans keyed in on us one time with Jadavian. And y'all started going around the other way from him. And Vrabel just never adjusted to that. And I think that's going to hurt the Tennessee Titans overall this year, because you're going to have games where y'all are going to win outside of this division, and they're going to be good games, and I think you'll beat a top-tier team, one or two of them. But when it comes back to coming back in the division, I think y'all will struggle against the Colts, us, and the Jags, just for the simple fact is that Vrabel has that Patriots way mentality. He's going to go out there, he's going to expect that the offense is going to call the plays that they agreed upon the week prior, and the defense is going to do the same thing. And I think it's going to be our lesson hard learned, and I don't think he actually understands that he has to adjust from the first half to the second half to keep the momentum going.
Absolutely, and to expand on what Tenny is saying, not only that, he doesn't put his players in their best positions to make plays, and he puts them in, and he calls plays that, you know, it hinders certain players. Like, you're going to sit here and have rookies like Zach Cunningham in games like, you know, like in certain games playing cover 2 when they're gassed. You're not, I mean, I know he's not going to be in charge of the defense, but honestly, I think he's going to be more on the defensive side since y'all brought in the guy from the Rams to call you guys' offense. He won't have anything to do with the offense whatsoever, but he's going to have everything to do with the defense. Anybody not believing, any Titans fan believing that he's not going to have anything to do with the offense, you're losing right now. This is his forte. This is what he was brought in here for, because at the end of the day, guys like Ken Wisenhunt, you know, Malarkey, these are all offensive guys. Y'all finally have a defensive head coach being brought in that you guys haven't had in quite some time, you know, with the exception of guys like Jeff Fisher, who's been gone. And it's just like Tenny said, adjustments when it comes to creating pressure, when it comes to having elaborate schemes. He's in most basic formations that you can be in, cover 4, cover 2. He doesn't play much cover 3. One thing I can say, when we were playing like cover 6, we were playing like cover 4, cover 2. He tried to play cover 1 at times, but he couldn't even capitalize on that. You know what I'm saying? And it's guys that he's going to end up putting in situations that are just not going to be capable outright. So unless the defensive coordinator you has challenges him, and he actually is like, look, man, this is my defense. I'm running this shit. You're going to have to step back. You can give me your input. That's fine. But if he's like, nah, fuck that, I'm going to do this, I'm telling you right now, y'all are going to be wasting Harold Landry, Rashawn Evans, motherfucking Jarrell Casey is already getting up there in years. You are, Derek Morgan, all of these guys that you guys have, Adoree Jackson, and y'all secondary, you can forget about it. You can absolutely forget about it, because you're not going to be able to generate the type of pass rush, because he does not know how to create that type of atmosphere. Even when Jadeveon Clowney, Merciless, and Watt were on the field, with the exception of the fucking Patriots game and the Tennessee game, and you could even say the Cincinnati game to a fault. Outside of those 3 games, where he had all 3 of those players healthy in the front 7, they could not come up with other ways to get each one of these guys that implement pressure on his field. Y'all need to be worried, and I'm telling y'all are not gonna like Mike Vrabel when it's all said and done. I'm telling you this right now.
Now, I'm not like, we're not trying to ride on you just because you're a Titans fan, and
no.
we like, honestly, I don't want to see y'all succeed because it makes the road easier for us. But at the end of the day, I just want to put this little out there: is when we were playing the Chiefs, even before JJ and Merciless went down, the Chiefs didn't miss a third down till like the third quarter, and they had like 8 minutes and some change left on the clock.
Right.
He never adjusted to their offensive plan against us, and he never tried to switch guys up to create the pressures to capitalize on the second and longs or the third and longs.
Oh, and Tenny, we didn't even let them know about this point. We have a much better pass rush than y'all do. We got a way better pass rush than y'all. Y'all
Vrabel's deal is this, man. Vrabel's deal is that he, like you said, he can't adjust. And comparing him to Cornell, and this is what I say because it was a very interesting point that was made earlier. Vrabel he tries to be, I don't want to say heavy-handed. He doesn't have a backup plan. He thinks that, you can blow everything up, or he's going to be the man that he doesn't adjust. He doesn't, see what the offense is giving you. He thinks that he can go in there and disrupt everything. And again, he has no plan B. And that's why I say, when you compare him, and like I say, our experience with him is with him and Cornell, you may get a little bit on him. You're going to bend a little bit, but you won't break. With Vrabel, if what he doesn't have planned for you initially doesn't work, well, it's a wrap. You're going to see what he is, and you're going to be able to eat on him. So I have again, like I said, I hate the Titans. I appreciate you calling in and all that, but I just tell you that Vrabel is not the lick. Like I say, I know that Patriots tree is what everybody craves, but we've seen what it's done outside of the Patriots organization. So I really wouldn't be extremely excited about having picked up Mike Vrabel.
Honestly, I really want him to call right back in real quick because I want him to be able to tell us the difference that he noticed when Romeo Cornell was the coach and how we were scheming then. Because it was a much.
We'll have to catch the call or something. We have to wrap up here shortly. So
okay.
If
he calls in another day, I would definitely like to hear his thoughts on how he felt that Romeo Cornell made the defense play with the talent that we have versus what he saw from Mike Vrabel last year, even prior to injury.
I see the call, but like I said, we're going to have to wrap it up here shortly because I got another little situation I got to take care of. But I appreciate you coming. But, man, definitely make sure you call back here real soon. You know what I'm saying, Charlotte? Because like I said, I can tell also by the way you commented, the way you brought it, that you're not one of those unrealistic fans. Like, you definitely have concerns. So I could definitely see that just from that first call. So shout out to Charlotte. Fantastic.
Yeah, he's not like MJ from Sports Fan Entertainment. He's nothing like him.
We're going to win it all. But anyway. Like I say, man, I got a little thing I have to take care of here, man. We're going to have to wrap it up a little bit shorter. Y'all know usually the sauce goes as the sauce flows, but I got a couple of little outside things I got to take care of. But we will be in the Kush Den later this evening, the Den at 10. We'll be talking about some interesting stuff. So I appreciate everybody who's called, who came through. Appreciate everybody in the chat. And I know we missed a couple of text messages, and we'll get those tomorrow. Go ahead. Kenneth
Cologne, not to cut you off, Honcho. He just commented right before you did when you say, what's his channel name? Shaolin Fantastic. He's right above you. He just wrote, I will.
Yeah, check it out. And then right under your comment, too. But you guys got anything you want to say real quick before we get out of here?
Man, I just want to say appreciate you having me on once again. Shout out to the rest of the round table. I understand, everybody couldn't be in tonight. We held it down for them. We got a lot of good points. We love you Texans fans, but we want y'all to be as realistic and truthful about this team as you can be at all times. Don't let your homerism get in the way of your life.
Absolutely. You got anything you want to say, Tenny, before we get out of here?
Yeah, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Without y'all, this ain't happening. Without the motivation, without the call-ins, without the texts, without the commenting. I mean, we're sitting here chatting it up with y'all once again, man. I mean, we're all on equal ground. We're on video right now, but y'all are just the same. Y'all right here, shoulder to shoulder with us, elbow to elbow. We all talking Texans. We all talking football.
Exactly, man. Like I say, man, ultimately, We are fans talking to fan, man. Shout out. I appreciate the love for rocking with the super saucy love via the Patreon. So I appreciate that. That's what's up. Man, I appreciate all the Patreon love. And like I said, we're gonna have some new things coming on that too. We're gonna start doing some more exclusives. I know that the folks on the Patreon have been getting slightly neglected. So I want to make sure to start bringing y'all some exclusive content, especially when the season gets started. We're gonna be doing a lot of stuff. Like I said, we got a game plan together as far as what we're gonna be doing. So the Patreon supporters will definitely get some special love. If you're not a Patreon supporter, consider pledging via Patreon, so you can get some of that special content, even if it's just $1, man. Like I say, everything is appreciated because we got a lot of plans for the channel, trying to take it to the next level. Shout out to everybody who came through. Again, as we say always, man, appreciate the fact that you took the time to fuck with the sauce, because time is the one asset that you can never get back. You can always make your money back. You can always rebuild shit you lost, but you can never get your time back. And like I say, so that's very essential, and we appreciate that. Spread the love, man. Tell all the Texans fans, hey, if they want a platform where they can chop it up, where people going to keep it real with them. And again, we're not going to feel like we better than you. Now, if we're fans talking to fans, we're not going to high side on you and doing all that other crazy shit. You have a line to call in on. You're able to do whatever you need to make those comments. But with that being said, y'all be cool like y'all be cool. We chunking up the deuce. Y'all stay saucy, and we out.